Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, Scott, and Martin, as they kick off this week's discussion.
Hello, welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. My name is Scott. I'm joined by two boys this week, not three boys. One of the boys couldn't make it. If you're on the podcast, guess who? Before we introduce ourselves. And time's up. Okay, we got Phil here.
Hello. What's up, nerds?
And we got Martin.
Evening all.
And today, let me click some more. We are talking about, boom, Orphan and the Five Beasts. This is a 4-issue book from Dark Horse, produced in 2021, created, written, drawn, lettered, covered, and everything else by one man, James Stokoe? James Stokoe. I'm going to say it more confidently this time. James Stokoe.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Sold it.
Thanks. Nailed it. Let's say hi in the chat before we have Funky Gibbons. Hey Lee, Heidi Ho. And we also have Highland G. Thank you for joining us. Lovely to see you. How have we been doing, boys?
All good. All good,
Yeah.
good. This book, Scott, I thought whenever, because this is obviously your pick, I was expecting some sort of D&D adventure, and I was completely thrown off this today when I read it.
Okay, all right. Well, before we
I don't
go,
know why I thought it was D&D. I just thought it sounded like a D&D thing.
just because I'm a massive nerd, probably. Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah. in our different special ways.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and let me tell you, right, what this book is about. Okay, some would say this is a kung fu epic. Okay, some would say, but the synopsis of this is as follows: Spurred on by her master's dying words, the adopted warrior Orphan Mo seeks to find and kill 5 former disciples who now threaten the land with corruption from their demonic powers. Part Five Deadly Venoms and part surreal grindhouse, James Stokoe brings his knack for ultra-detailed fantasy imagery and over-the-top violence of this classic tale of revenge. So there we go. I read that word for word from the back of the book. Okay. Who do I pick on first? Who's going to kick us off? You both read this today, didn't you?
Yeah, like literally like an hour ago.
It's a very quick read. It's 4 issues, speedy read. Martin, what did you think?
I actually enjoyed it. It's just a shame it did last too long. That's my biggest issue with this book. The fact that I actually started getting into it and then it ended.
Should have been retitled to Orphan and the Two Beasts.
This is what's going my opening line. It's like the reason why it was such a quick read is because I left out 3 beasts. Like literally there was 2 beasts and that was it.
It's to be continued, I hope.
Yeah. I assume there is another. Has it not been?
There isn't an issue 5. It goes to 4, and then they made a trade, and then I have no idea if it's been cancelled. I have no idea if it's on a hiatus. I have no idea.
Unless it's going to be called The Orphan and the Other 3 Beasts. That's part 2.
Yeah.
Orphan and the Rest of the Beasts. Yeah.
It feels like what was that book, Martin, that we liked and Scott and Liam didn't like at Christmas?
Naughty List.
The Naughty List. Where
Rubbish.
the story just finishes with no future plans, essentially, to finish it. But then you have, I suppose, James Stokoe did everything himself. I'm sure it takes a long time to do this. You know,
Yeah.
even the art has a lot of detail in that. So it's. I'll give him some time to get the next volume out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's hope there is. I hate the idea of an incomplete story.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It is just him creating this book, creating this story, drawing everything, lettering everything, writing everything. Like Kev, right? Our resident artist. he writes and draws his own story. And I met him. When did I meet him? 2021 in MCM Birmingham Comic Con, and he had only written 3 issues of the last Ein Hier, yeah, his own created story, and he's released 1 more since then. And I know for a fact that he's written issue 5, and now I think he's in the process of starting to draw it. So it takes a hell of a long time to create a book, and I can't imagine, especially with the kind of detail that they put in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we should not be like, oh my god, he's taken ages to get 5 issues. Where the hell is the 5th one? This perspective.
Plus, has he got any other projects he's got going on as well? Because obviously this must be a little what would you call it? It's just like his own personal
passion
little
side project. Yeah. That's the thing. Like he probably has, like, because I know I'm reading a book called Old Dog, which was Declan Shelby. He's an Irish artist and writer, and he's doing everything as well, writing, lettering, colouring, drawing, everything. And he had to pause the book in between because essentially it's his own project, it's his own work, but he needs to pay the bills. So he's taking work elsewhere to get the money to pay his bills, whatever. So things like this, if it is like a passion project, you do have to kind of park it if you need to for a few months. So maybe that's what Stokoe's doing. He's taking a little break so he can go and earn some money elsewhere.
I have just checked. I've just quickly checked him on the app I use, and he is currently doing some cover art for some of the new Night Terrors, DC Night Terrors stuff. So you think he's got 1 for Batman, 1 for Ravenger, 2 for Ravenger, Robin. He's doing one of the Green Arrow ones that's on my hit list. So he's variant covering at the moment. So this is where his bulk of his time is going.
And I think it is one of those things that this is not like a cheap shot at cover artists, but sometimes they do that to get the money in quickly. Just give us 1 page to draw. We'll put our effort into it, get the money, and take it while we're doing other stuff. So maybe that's what it is. He's happy to, grab that coin while he can.
Yeah. We have a confirmation in the chat from Highland G. He has said, if you Google it, it's on hiatus with no date set to come back.
Yeah.
But, things go on hiatus, things come back. Like we had Saga, that was off for ages. A really, really popular story that I know we all love, Snot Girl, that was on a hiatus, and that's come back. The next volume is coming back. And then this one. You know what? I wish I said again.
The naughty list?
No, mate, you'll be on the naughty list.
All right, I'm always happy.
I wish like Once in Future was on hiatus. I wish like 7 Secrets was on hiatus. All these other cool things. But whatever. Can't be bitter about it. Have we even done initial thoughts yet?
I think Martin say enjoy, and I enjoyed it too. I did enjoy it. It's a very strange book. Let's be honest.
It's crazy.
All the scenes are a bit. Like, I don't read manga. I've watched some anime, and there's definitely scenes and I'm thinking that belongs in some sort of anime cartoon because like it's just a bit crazy, a bit mad.
Yeah,
but like exciting at the same time. Like I enjoyed it. It just makes you think for a little second just how mad this is.
Yeah. The reason I chose this book is because I actually picked it up in singles when it was coming out.
Okay.
I've got all the issues, but I only read the first 3. For some reason, I just never got to the final one. I have it, just never got to it. And I just thought, this art style, it's something different for us to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we see all the time. It's very unique in terms of what we usually see. It's a bit mental, and I didn't expect it to be like that at all. It was just, I like the premise. It was just, Orphan goes out to find and defeat the 5 beasts. It's like, oh, cool, little, maybe like a samurai type thing, Japanese. I quite like that style of thing as well, and the art really intrigued me with how detailed and the little tiny lines everywhere. That really intrigued me. That really enticed me. And then once you have the reveal of the first villain, Thunder Thighs,
Hmm.
and what he is capable of, I was like, what have I gotten myself into? But I don't hate it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, okay, let's go further, let's go more. And yeah, but I never read the fourth issue, but now I have. You'd be glad to know. Imagine if I still today went, yep, only read the first three, didn't bother with the last one, just kept up with how I wanted to go. But yeah, it was a very surprising book. Mental.
I mean, I don't want to dog on James Stokoe, but I think by trade he is an artist before he's a writer, and I do
Mhm.
think the art is better than the writing. If you know what I mean, like it's maybe better than the story. I like the idea. I think it's a really cool thing, but for me, there was some stuff lacking in it, and I don't need a background for Mo, the young, what was her name? Mo, wasn't it? The young kind
Orphan.
of orphan,
Orphan
yeah,
Mo. Yeah.
Orphan Mo. Like,
Otherwise, it'd
obviously,
be called Mo and the Five Beasts.
yeah, very good. But that's it. Obviously, we know she's an orphan, so we don't need her backstory as such because we know where she's at. But at the same time, there's got to be something more with her. I thought there was very little with her, to be honest. It lacks something at the minute. Like, she's obviously cool. Like, she's a cool character. She could fight. She's really cool in the action scene.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's something missing with her. And even with the Five Beasts, they spent a lot of time like describing their kind of backstory. You know, they went, I can't remember the old man's name. They where he gave them a bit of an arc or whatever he says. And he goes through Thunder Thighs and the other guy, what was his name? The meat
I
eater.
don't
you
know.
rhyme me now.
Meaty boy.
Meaty
I don't
boy,
know.
yeah. Well, anyway, they take a good few pages to kind of describe their kind of training and their background and their kind of like what makes them tick almost. But we didn't get a lot of Mo. I think Mo should have been the main star of the show.
His name was Chopper Teng.
It was Che. Oh yeah,
That's it.
Tang. T-N. Yeah,
Tang.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tang.
Chopper Teng. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of. It was every other issue. So the second and the fourth issue were the first half of them were essentially the origins of the beast. So we'd have we'd have the initial setup, we'd have the reveal at the end of one issue, then we'd have their origin at the start of the next issue, then the fight, and then repeat. Yeah. So Alan G has said, I enjoyed the initial premise and the art overall, but the story wasn't great. I think we're all there, level with that, really. And he also said, what bugged me was that at the start he gets told by his mentor that he has to go and figure out for himself and that he doesn't know anything else. Then he explains each beast as they come up.
That threw me. I'm glad that's been mentioned because that
Yeah.
did throw me.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, bling, you've just sent me on a quest, not knowing nothing at all. And except, I'm basically going on a revenge thing for you. And then all of a sudden, the beast comes out and you know everything about them because you've trained every single one of them. This information would have been quite beneficial at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I didn't even twig on. I just assumed that, like, I didn't twig on. Good point.
I understand why he's done it because it leaves some mystery for us as the reader. Because I thought the touch of having them as like a shadow figure in the background, not seeing them, and then as the story progresses, it's revealing them. So I thought that was great. I thought that was a real nice touch. But they could have given us a little bit more about these characters, even names, and slight information about them, as opposed to just one word to symbolize each one. A lot of time was wasted on building a little bit of depth to these characters in different segments.
I agree, and this is what I'm saying about the art being better than the story, because the detail in the character, like both those characters were creepy as, like especially the kind of the Tang one, but even Thunder Thighs, like obviously he draws my big thighs and big veins in his thighs and whatever else, and he squeezes a horse and all this. Like there's a lot of detail and depth put into it visually, so you can kind of see it rather than obviously got his backstory, but at the same time it's just like I think that's where the focus was on the art than the story. And you mentioned Scott as well, like stuff like if I remember, like even the ceiling on some of the huts or the houses or whatever had like lines on them. Well, you don't need to do it. Like we know it's a ceiling.
Yeah.
You do a block color, but the fact that he puts all those details in the background, it's not necessary. But I think that's where the time and effort was put into that more than branching out the story.
It's definitely admirable what he's done with all that. 100%. Pete's here. Sup nerds, sup Pete. Thanks for joining. He did say, Phil says something is missing. Something is missing. I've not read the book, but is it her parents?
Good guess. Good guess. Yeah.
Got it in one. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Do we want to talk a bit more about the art, or shall we just show off our pages? What are you guys thinking?
I do have one criticism.
Okay.
As much as I like the art, I understand the colors. They're trying to get this kind of vibe of like, I'm assuming Japan or somewhere in Asia or whatever. I'm assuming that's the kind of vibe they were going for.
Yeah.
But I feel like the book was almost let down by the tone chosen with the colors. I'm not expecting like pinks and purples and fiery oranges and all the rest, but I just feel like it was very toned down at times. But yet, obviously, with like the horse squeezing scenes, it's ramped up again. I feel like
there was a world color shortage of the color pink when the Barbie film was created. With this book, there was a world color shortage of orange and brown.
Yeah. Some jokes don't land, Scott. Some do, and some don't.
Oh, come on! All right, whatever. Anyway, let's get onto our pages then, shall we? Let's have a look at those. We do also have one for Shane as well, and I do have a bit of a little bonus one. But we will start with. We'll go clockwise. We'll start with Phil.
Yeah, again, this is what I was talking about in terms of the level of detail in the art as opposed to story. And the two reasons I picked this page, obviously, you've got this guy Thunder Thighs, and you want to see what his deadly weapon, what his force is all about. He squeezes a horse and breaks it in half and splatters it everywhere. But he's just laughing. Like there's no actual, like there's a few words, there's no real dialogue. You don't need it. It's very much here's what I can do, and I can see the shock in Mo's face there. And that's enough to show this guy's not to be trifled with, if you're going to fight this guy, don't get in between his legs. But it's just, again, the idea, like those four guys there in that panel with the meat splashing at them to the side. It's cool, it's detail, it's funny. Trigger warning though, if you're an equestrian lover, look away now. But yeah, this there's quite a few interesting pages. This is one of the first ones that really caught my eye. We mentioned the detail, like even in the lines and stuff, like isn't necessary, but it adds the texture and the feel of the book,
After seeing that, Pete has just said, "Oh my God, what am I looking at? I think I need to read this now."
See, that page goes back as well to what Phil said at the start. It gives off that anime vibe. Would you better bring that page back up again, Scott?
Yeah.
If you look at that panel in the bottom right, that is the sort of sadistical laugh you see on some animes with these twisted characters where the eyes are sort of bulging, the big wide mouth expressions. You see, it definitely touched on that anime vibe.
Yeah, and there's more than that throughout the whole book where you get that vibe.
Oh yeah, totally.
For the anime stuff. But Pete, if you want to read this, I mean it's super quick, 100 pages. You read it in like 20 minutes. You could start now and come back and give us your score at the end.
Definitely. Okay, Martin.
I picked this page for the detail.
It is mental.
For anybody in the podcast, this is the scene where Thunder Thighs is basically ripped apart by the main character and one of the what are they called? Sort of the bandits that's sided with Mo, and you
Yeah.
can the detail on ripping apart the limbs and the insides, and even the bit at the top where you see a closer blown up picture of his face and his head. Just
Yeah.
detail is just stunning. You know, it really is.
It's gross, but it's detailed.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. The person that's helping Orphan in this scene as well is called Dirty Bun.
Dirty Bun.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he was cool for his wee, 2-page cameo. He was the guy who trained the horses, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was the
And,
stable master.
Yeah, the stable master. So he obviously ran out with 2 horses, of course, and he was holding back. He was cool. But I'm going to say this now. The art here is really cool, but you can definitely see a bit of Daniel Warren Johnson in here.
Yes.
Yeah, I
But
get that.
I
A bit
don't
tidier though.
Tidier, but I still think Daniel Warren Johnson's better.
It's a different kind of scratchy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But
I just found this a bit more cleaner than Darren Warren
Mm.
Johnson. The just the way the style of the art is, but yeah, I do get what you're saying. It has that touch,
especially with the use of the
Mm.
sound effects as well.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
He's very
Definitely.
fond of like the impact lines and stuff. If there's like an action scene, doesn't he? Like the
Mm.
constant straight lines, going diagonal lines and stuff. But
I'll move on to my page. This is where Orphan is fighting Thunder Thighs. But I chose this page because this for me was the anime page. We've got a lot of cool action, a lot of cool, like, I don't know, speed lines, a bit of blur, stuff like that. And I'm really seeing and feeling and being able to visualize that movement really well. Sometimes when we look at books like this and they have action like this, it kind of looks quite static sometimes. But this, for me, had a lot of movement, especially that very middle panel. We've got the kind of like diagonal jump lines where she like jumps away, spins around, jumps back. It's really cool. And then like slice, and then onto the next page. But yeah, very cool. I love the movement in it.
I'd like to see this artist maybe take on the Flash, because I think he would draw a Flash issue really well. The way he shows movement.
Imagine that. I'm not sure I want to see the Flash in this style though.
I agree with Martin to an extent. I think the Flash would be done cool in this way. However, don't let him color it. Give it to somebody else to color it.
Oh yeah.
It's just like that. Tonally, it's wrong for me. I think obviously the Flash needs to be a bit more vibrant. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That would look cool.
Yeah. Hanan G agrees with me, I guess. He said you can really feel emotion in the art. Yeah, totally. Thanks a lot for that. One more page then from Shane. He did send one in. Oh my god, I've lost it. Okay, here it is. Right. I think this was the first issue. Maybe the second one.
Yeah, it was early on.
No, yeah, it was the first one. Shane had said, I picked this page because I like the motion of the fight scenes, the blurs and the smoothness to the movements made me really feel the action. And again, a lot of great movement, a lot of good blurring, a lot of good, I don't know, motion lines, speed lines, whatever. I don't know what to call them. I don't know if they have a proper name.
I like the scene there where like she's got her staff or whatever, her what would you call it? Her weapon, whatever it is. And like it's also on the ground, it's covered, it doesn't like there's no Sharpie bit yet, it's not pointy yet. And then she just kind of kicks up her foot and then shoots. I think that's just really cool, yeah.
Yeah. It is awesome. Okay, I have one more page. It's not a page, it's the covers. All of these covers, cover A's create a joint cover. Like I said earlier, I've got all the covers, and that was partly a selling point for me. I thought it'd be quite cool to get all these four together, kind of joining covers. But they also have a printed version of it in the back of the trade, and there it is.
That's cool.
So yeah, so those are all four covers. You can also like flick through the trade, and it shows you the the covers. That's like issue chapter breaks kind of thing in the trade, and yeah, they're all there, and they all join up like this.
See, I know we've said about this color palette for this book. I don't know why, but I get vibes of sort of traditional sort of Japanese tattoos colors. I think this is why it didn't bother me so much. It's sort of the toned down colors. I feel like I feel the style he was going for, but as we've said, I think he oversaturated a few colors, didn't he? Through certain pages. I mean,
for some reason, where I really noticed with the coloring is like I feel like I wanted the green to be a bit more green and less gray. Because there's also a lot of greenery in the scenes, whatever. But you're right. There's a lot of times where the characters were like essentially like a clay color, like orange or whatever, or like a dull brown or whatever. But their eyes were still popping white, And obviously, it's like a creative choice, which is fair. I just think that I wanted a bit more. I've seen samurai books, or I know Highland J's a big fan of samurai books. Like, I've kind of went with that kind of tone throughout. Then I've seen ones that go the opposite way and give us a little bit more color and pop. But I don't know where I would want this. I wouldn't want this to be too far. Somewhere in between, just a little bit more for the tone of the color. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Going more into the art just a little bit more. Where did I see it? I just saw it. So what I kind of wanted to bring up was the fact that, like, even though this art is brilliantly detailed all the way through, James Stokoe really sells when it comes to the action. So, well, that's what I noticed anyway. And those were the bits that I enjoyed more. The writing side of things, the setup of everything was good, but then when it came to the fights, fights are always quick reads unless you want to hang around and focus on the details and stuff. But it was just whenever it came to the action scenes, so the end of issue 2 and the end of issue 4, they were a brilliant joy to read. They were gross, but really great to look at in a way as well.
I think it's like a certain level of like, I don't want to say just intrigue, but like because it is gross, you want to look at it. Doing one of those things, it's like you want to turn away from it, but you don't. You almost like you punish yourself by looking at it more.
Like it makes you engage with it more, doesn't it? It's visually appealing, regardless of what's there. It's something that draws you to it because it stands out more.
Like it's almost like it makes you question: do you like it, or do you hate it so much that you need to look at it to have a definitive answer to that? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah. What was great.
The art kept me intrigued, right, over and over and over again. For the first 2 issues, at least, it kept raising or lowering the bar. I can't quite tell yet, but it was like you get to the start and it's like, okay, this is a really nice looking book. The scenery is really pretty. Everything's really detailed. Okay, cool. And then you first see like Thunder Thighs and you go, okay, he's quite a disproportionate character. It's quite interesting. Okay, cool. Maybe we're getting him out of a more realistic kind of situation. And then he squeezes his horse to death. Okay, this is getting a bit more out there. All right, okay, let's see how it goes. Let's go with it. And then you think that Orphan has won the fight by chopping Thunder Thighs in half, sideways. And you go, okay, cool, fight over. And then the next page, the next thing you see is that the legs are still sentient, and this little tiny body pops out of the waist, out of the remains. And it's just, I was like, what? What am I reading? Like, by issue 2, you see this and you go, okay, there's the bar. There it is. I now know what to expect, at the minimum, the kind of level of grotesque detail. I don't mean that in a bad way, the word grotesque, but that's what it is. There's intestines, there's guts, there's cuts, there's blood, there's, it's gory, but it's like, this is very detailed, but not in a gross way.
If it didn't have that, I wouldn't have enjoyed this book as much.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, totally.
That was the thing that kept me, that Scott saying, intrigued and wanting to know what's next. What's left to do.
This was its niche. This art style and that level he pushed it to was the niche that made this better than what we would probably score it if it didn't have it.
100%. Totally agree. Very, very much agree. To move on to the writing, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil, what did you think?
Well, we touched on it. It's not Orphan and the Five Beasts. It's Orphan and the Two Beasts. That's something you can't ignore. You can't leave it behind. I understand the overall story is called Orphan and the Five Beasts, and this is the first arc. I feel like, Scott, you said you had the first 3 issues and you read them, but not the 4th. I feel like this shouldn't have been a single issue run. This should have been like an original graphic novel and give us the full story.
I agree.
Start, middle, and end, cover to cover type of thing.
Do Dark Horse do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it with Hellboy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, that should have been the way this went. Maybe again because financial pressures, he wanted to get something out to try and make this, start making this story earn some coin for him. Maybe he wanted to release it in singles, or maybe Dark Horse wanted it in singles. I don't know. But I definitely feel like it wasn't. I don't even think it was written for single issue market. I do feel like it was written to be a graphic novel.
Right.
But again, the level of work of the art, level of detail outweighs the story so much. I can see why it's on hiatus and why it's stopped. Not because he's bored of it, but because he needs a break to do the work. I like the idea of this Mo character having this quest and whatever else, but like at the same time, we didn't get enough of her yet. Maybe we will going forward, but for this volume, we didn't get enough of her, in my opinion. Is it a girl or is it a fella? I thought it was a girl. It was a girl.
Girl.
Yeah, she's a girl.
I thought it was a girl. Yeah. I just don't think that another 4 issues is long enough to wrap this up. I think this is going to be a 12-issue run if you're going to give it a full go, because you need to know more about Mo. We spent 4 issues on 2 of the beasts. So another 4 issues for another 2 more of the beasts, and then let's say another 2 issues with Mo, another 2 issues with the vinyl one with the big
her name is Orphan
battle.
Why do you keep saying Mo? Her name's Orphan Mo.
So hold on. So what do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? That's her name. Her name is Orphan Mo.
I thought her name was Mo, and she's an orphan. No,
that's what I thought.
Orphan Mo. Like
so
it says that in issue 1.
So Orphan is her actual name.
Yeah.
Oh,
poor girl.
Interesting. I just assumed her name is Mo, and she is an orphan. That's why it's called Orphan.
Literally, when like page 11 of the trade, but that includes like the cover and everything. So in terms of actual comic, book pages, it's the 4th page, and it's like at the bottom.
So her last name's Mo.
Yeah, Orphan Mo. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's okay.
But roll with it.
She is an orphan though, because like the guy says she had no parents, and she came to him at the start, or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she's called Orphan Mo, because she didn't have a name, so he called her Orphan Mo. But then again, we don't know because they didn't tell us. We're left. It's open for interpretation, people. Of what we think happened with Mo, exactly. I think as well what Martin's kind of saying too. Like, so I had 4 issues and 2 beasts, and I mentioned earlier on Scott. Like, there's a case of like one beast was conquered. Now here's the next beast. Here's his origin for 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah.
Then there's a big fight scene for 3 or 4 pages. Then when you think they're dead, they come back again for 3 or 4 pages. It was like a pattern. I don't want to see that continue the same way.
It'll just make it more predictable and less enjoyable for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I totally
like whenever I mentioned actually that I can't remember what was towards it was the second beast. I think she referred to like there could be more than one. So I thought, great, we're getting something different. We're going to have more than one beast here. That could be a thing. To give us two beasts at one or on one
I
fight
do
scene.
think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I reckon this is going to be like one more 4-issue thing, and they'll be like twins or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
brother and sister. You know,
Shorten the run.
yeah.
And then she'll have to, as I'm saying, but then that's for Orphan Mo's point of view as well. That's something she has to overcome. Not just one person. You know, there's like 2 to kill and 2 to fight. So you want to see her step up as well. And I think there's more to her with her. Obviously, her fighting, but there must be magic involved as well with her somehow. She must have some sort of, the fact
I think
that
she's magical.
Yeah, I think there's something there. Yeah, I think there's. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to slice Thunder's thighs in half and he grows like an extra, like, I don't know, torso and head, like there's bound to be magic or some sort of dark magic involved somehow. And I would have think Orphan would have something up her sleeve.
Oh well, it was the corruption, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was doing all this to them. There wasn't like a demon or anything like that. It was just
that's true. But then there's got to be something in reverse, like the good side of that type of thing. You know,
like the light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The anti-corruption. Yeah, I get you. I know what you mean. I know what you're trying to get at.
But are they going to squeeze that type of story into another 4 issues?
Nah.
I don't want to sound defeatist when it comes to this particular story because, I would like this to continue. But for the fact that Dark Horse has already released it as a trade, they've not numbered this as a volume 1. It's on hiatus. It's sadly looking like it's not going to be picked up again.
Yep. Looks like, unfortunately, I agree.
I don't like, because this is something that I would like to see picked up again because it was good. It wasn't mind blowing, but it was obscure enough to make me want to go, do you know what? Let's do a volume 2. Let's read volume 2 because I want to know what the other beasts are now. I want to know what quirks they are.
Yeah.
Highland G in the chat has taken over Shane's role of planning or plotting the future story and how it should go. He says, I think a good twist would be to have 2 more beasts, and then Orphan has to figure out who the last one is, and it turns out to be the Master is the last beast. Dun, dun, dun.
I like that idea. Plus, the
Yeah.
Master somehow is able to summon the other 4 and like combine them as one big
Megazord.
Megazord. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like
Rita Repulsa turns up, and she's like, yeah.
Make my monster grow. Yeah. I feel like somehow the 4 of them are going to be. I thought. Again, if there's magic involved, or actually you mentioned the corruption, I think somehow that could happen. Yeah.
All right.
That could be interesting.
And the master, he did leave you to think the Master was a bit of a douche himself. Like, what was he just sitting like some sort of tank, and then it's just like there's more to him. Huh?
Oh, sorry. Started yawning. He was having a bath.
Was it me, or was he just ripped as well?
Yeah.
He'd come bursting out there, and he was like, looked like, what's his name? Liver King or whatever, didn't he?
The old Master Roshi of Dragon Ball.
Liver King. Yeah, there's more to him too. I think he is going to make an appearance of some sort. I would imagine. But like I say, if the fact that it's on hiatus and you don't expect it to come back, it is a bad thing. It taints the story for me now, knowing that this has been parked, and that the idea being that I'm assuming he'll get to it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But if he keeps getting offered projects and jobs, when's this? You know what I mean? Like, when's this going to happen? And the longer you leave it, the less appetite people are going to have to want to read on.
It's like, how long is too long, isn't it? And at the moment, maybe we'll go, cool, and issue 5 is coming out. We can finally get onto it, like we are after we learned Snot Girl was coming back. But don't me. I know you weren't listening when I said that.
No.
You hate Snot Girl. Got him. And I lost my train of thought. But yeah, how long? How long is too long? And I think we're getting there. Like,
Yeah, I think as well. Like, I mean, Shane was here. He would tell you there's a few DC books that he's talked about in the past that have just ended and they've never finished, and it's been years. And he's hoping that one day they'll get finished, but they never will because we've gone past that point of like the point of no return, and this is probably going to be the same.
See,
just like the naughty list as well.
When did he write this book? When did he actually release the singles? Just out of curiosity.
2021.
yeah.
Right, so I'm just looking through his catalog, should we say, and since 2021, he has been doing cover arts for Marvel, for DC. He's doing another series for Image. He is actually doing another series that's running now. That's only a one issue for Dark Horse. So the man's busy. So it's not like he's, he's even doing a cover art for the new Green Arrow issue that comes out in a month. So he's doing projects. So
Yeah.
to step away and do writing as well as draw your own story when you've got that many projects under your belt.
He's probably working on it in the background, tinkering away every now and again. I'll do another page here, I'll do another page there. He probably is, but he probably has a 4 at a time deal or something with Dark Horse.
Plus, what I will say, when this was going in single issues, I wonder, was Scott the only person who picked it up? I never.
Well, it looks like Highland G has read it.
Yeah, well, he's read it. Yeah. Well, Highland G, did you buy the trade paperback or did you buy this in singles? Doesn't really buy that many singles. I was just be interested to see.
That's true.
Because again, to be fair, if this was to go on for say another 4 issues or 12 in total, as we were saying, this would be a good oversized hardcover to get, in deluxe form, big art, and that would be good to get, I think, of a complete story. But again, for us, for our purposes here, having to judge the first arc, it's a difficult one because we don't know what's going to happen with it, essentially.
Yeah. Highland G has said he got it as trade. So maybe I am the only person to get it in singles. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's make it a mission to find other people who got this in singles too. But if I'm the only if I'm the only person, then
you've got some rare covers.
Yeah, I've just made some big bucks. Gonna get these CG seed, gonna get them slabbed, sell them. Yeah,
connecting covers on the wall.
Yeah. If this guy ever turns up a Thought Bubble, get some pretty cool signatures. Imagine that. Keep an eye out. I will, definitely. What did you think of we've talked a lot about Thunder Thighs. What did you think about the fight with Chopper Kang? And the reveal of that as well. People go in, what was it? People go in to find food and they discovered that everyone is going to this one particular restaurant that's selling everything for super cheap and running the other ones out of business. And they're all kind of addicted to this meat, everyone that's in there.
I think it was predictable that it was going to be human meat, but it wasn't predictable that it was going to be his own. Own arm.
That was a twist.
That was a throw, and I thought he was where Thunder Thighs was like creepy when he came back at half a body or whatever.
Yeah,
Tang, he was the creepiest. But again, in a good way, like an intriguing way you want to read on.
Yeah.
What was he like, stitching his own arms up or something? Or
he was cutting slices out of his arms, and then his arms were regenerating.
And he had like 16 arms at one point, didn't he? It was gross. It was. I think I've mentioned it before in some other books we talked about. It was almost like that kind of like Rocco's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy grossness.
Speaking of
a bit more blood.
Yeah. Speaking of gross, right? Looking at it again now, and it's proper like turning me a bit like, right? Okay. So like the reveal page where you see his arm getting chopped up a little bit, like like it's like orange segments. Yeah. In all of the bits that are chopped out, there's a little mole on it. One or two little moles. Oh my god, it's I can't even like look at it properly without being turned. Like I didn't notice this the first time I read it, but going through it now while talking to you guys, I've looked at it and now it's on every single one, and I'm like, I can't. Like that's. Apparently, it wasn't minging for me. First of all, it wasn't gross. First of all, but seeing that, and now we're all looking at it.
Oh, you're right. It's turning my stomach now. Like all the kind of moles and warts and whatever else.
God, I couldn't draw that.
Little hairs
Dude.
and stuff on it.
Yeah,
don't.
it's rotten.
I don't want to throw up.
But like,
No, it's just.
it's such a weird book.
No.
But I love that
Like-
twist on it.
Yeah,
I don't.
I think I obviously mentioned in previous
I can't
episodes
go through the
before
page.
about the kind of gore and like a hotel and stuff. But that kind of grossed me out. This is different kind of level of gross.
Yeah. Imagine
Like-
eating that. Oh, I can't. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's gross.
It didn't
And,
faze me whatsoever. I thought this was fantastic. I love that disgusting twist on it was great.
I just feel sick.
Yeah.
The hair on the moles. Ah.
Stop.
I think the thing that creeped me out the most wasn't even I didn't notice the moles. It was just more like the amount of arms you could regenerate. Freaked me out.
I
And
thought that was cool.
then it came to the point so all the people who eat the meat,
Mm-hmm.
or obviously they love the meat so much they turn into like Tang's henchmen or soldiers or whatever, and they all have red eyes to go fight Orphan Mo, but one of them turns into like a bug.
A giant centipede type of thing.
Yeah, like it's gross, but like that's the thing. This is why I kind of like it in the anime. And I'm not a big anime fan. I'm trying to get into some of it, but sometimes the anime shows are just too weird. Like they take a turn, and it goes.
I've
really
never
weird.
seen it. I've never seen an anime like this.
I know what's it's
No
just,
way.
It's just the turn it has, and this had a few different times where like this is a dramatic turn. Didn't expect that. And
Yeah.
it was gross.
I have
But
to
again,
admit, sorry, Phil.
Go
Go on.
Well, you go ahead.
No, I'll say that my favourite bit though with the second beast was his death scene. I loved it that she hit him with the flour, the eggs, and then what can I only
Right.
imagine is
Breadcrumbs.
breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And then he kills himself. He gets in there and dies, but then he reaches his arm out to season himself. Classic.
They missed the trick there. What they should have done for the art is that, remember the scene where he had his mate was cutting his arm for him, so there was someone else in the kitchen. Just get him to do like Salt Bay, like your Salt Bay guy. Just get,
Yeah. Well, it wasn't far off, to be honest.
yeah, it wasn't.
What he was doing. Little pinch, little sprinkle. It even says the word sprinkle, sprinkle when it's
Love that.
sprinkling the salt. It was a bit like, oh, okay, there's the cheese. You know? I kind of expected that, but again, I couldn't have thought of that myself. I couldn't have predicted that. It was a bit funny seeing that. But it was just weird seeing this, breadcrumb covered demon getting chucked into the boiling vat of oil. And then him go, no, I'm dying. And then he disappeared. And then all of a sudden, the arm bursts up, seasons himself gone. It is brilliant.
Brilliant.
In a cheesy way.
You
So
got like
strange.
a little bit of cheese now and then.
Yeah, I do. But this is not what I expected at all. You know, I just thought it was going to be this person goes against 5 literal beasts. You know, maybe if we go for like Japanese culture, they're like gigantic and have, you know, some sort of different characteristic than the normal version or whatever. But I didn't expect it to be people that could kill anything with its thighs and was cutting slices out of himself and sprouting other limbs, blah, blah, blah. It's totally unexpected.
I'm with you 100%. I was not expecting this going into it. But you know what? I'm so pleased it was because it made it unique.
Yeah.
These, regardless of what we score this as, this is probably going to be one of those stories that will stick with me for a little while. I felt like
And you
this
know
about
what?
the autumnal. That story stuck with me, and even though it wasn't the best, it stuck with me. I think this is going to be one of those ones. The conversation we've had tonight has definitely embedded it in my brain a bit more. So,
It's never usually the 10s or 9s that stick with me, it's usually the sixes and sevens. Those are the ones that tend to stay with me. So that's my prediction for this. Overall, we're going to get between 6 and 7, I think. I reckon.
I think you're right in terms of like those tend to stick with you. But I mean, I'm just thinking back to a few stories I have scored in around that area. They've got you to a certain point and then haven't delivered beyond that, which is what this book is. Like it will stick with you because not just because of what it is, but what it is and what it could have been, if you know what I'm trying to say. It does fall behind in some aspects, but we're talking about like logically in terms of like the story and like the 2 beasts, not the 5 beasts. We're thinking things like that.
Yeah.
But this will stick with you, I think, but not always for the good reasons. Like I wish there was more to it.
The little light of hope that is more story is on the trade. The page that's after the one where the demon, seasons himself. It does say, "Orphan Mo's story doesn't end here. Our adventure continues in the next arc of Orphan and the Five Beasts from James Stokoe, coming soon."
Coming soon, though.
Yeah, but it's not. It's planned, like it's there. It's hopefully coming at some point.
To put that, Dark Horse must be willing to continue when he's ready.
Yeah, totally.
As I say, I can only compare it to Declan Shelby with his project for Old Dog, and I follow him on Twitter and stuff, and he has to come out and say that it's really hard work when you're doing everything. And obviously with Kevin's stuff as well, like how long it takes to get an issue out. So I do appreciate that even if he was, say it took him a full year to do these 4 stories, I'm just guessing here, you're going to want to get a break from that yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you do different things for a spell, kind of hone your craft somewhere else, like learn new skills, whatever else, but then come back to this. So yeah, you're right. It can't be too negative in that aspect because the amount of detail in the drawing and the fact that it is gross and whatever else, maybe you should take a little break.
Yeah, totally deservedly so, I think.
Yeah.
Thoughts on scores? Are you ready?
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. So, everyone in the chat, if you've read along, do give us a score. We'll add it to ours and get the final score, and we'll find out where it goes on our leaderboard. Will it be top 10? Or will it go somewhere else? Let's find out. So, Phil, do you want to kick us off?
So you predicted 6 or 7s, and I'm in that ballpark. It's not a bad story. It blew me away in terms of things you're seeing on the page. I think the art definitely outweighs the quality of the art outweighs the quality of the story and the writing, unfortunately. But again, he is an artist by trade, so to still write this story has to be commended. I'm trying my best not to allow the fact that we don't have a complete story kind of impact this arc. But we've said before, we always like a start, a middle, and an end. We haven't got that. We're only halfway through this story, so it's a difficult one to judge or not judge in that aspect. But art was good. It was gross. It was mad. It was mental. Things were happening on the page that you didn't expect to see, and it kept you intrigued. The colors did. I felt like it didn't quite fit in for some reason. At times, sometimes it did. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I definitely get the kind of Japanese samurai vibe in this book without being any real Japanese samurai like culture or references, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if that's intentional or not intentional, but if it is intentional, I feel like he needs to I don't want to say do a bit more research, but try and be a bit more accurate with things that are more Japanese and samurai-esque or whatever. I think I'm sitting on a 6. I think that's where I'm at. I feel a little bit like there's something missing. Yeah, it's not her parents' beat. I think there's something missing in the story, but the art was great. And yeah, it led to an interesting conversation tonight. So a 6 is a good.
Yeah,
6.
Nah, good. Yeah, I think that's good. Martin, over to you.
I am in agreement with Phil 100%. the artistic style is probably the one thing I'm going to take away from this, because I quite like this artistic style. The colors didn't really bother me too much because I felt like it was going for that sort of washed down Japanese feel, but I do feel like we had some oversaturation of colors, especially in the backgrounds with some pages, with the oranges and the greens just completely blowing the back of page out. I love the character designs. I know we've touched it. I love the gore. I know you guys ain't a fan, but I loved it. I love that gross, disgusting stuff. It caught me off guard. The writing was not as good, sadly. The story, as we know, we've not got a full story, and we judge it very harshly on a start, middle, and end, and it didn't have that. So I'm going to go a little bit more than Phil, because I did enjoy that artwork. The artwork has sold it for me, so I'm going in at 6.5.
Nice. Okay. All right. Shall I read Shane's first before I do mine, or shall I do mine then read Shane's?
You pick the book, so you go last. Do Shane's.
Okay. All right. So here's what Shane said. The art is decent enough, but some pages are too full and busy, and the faces are not good for the most part. Of course, Shane would bring up the faces. It feels like it's trying to be manga and failing. The silly names for the characters are over the top. Villains make it somewhat fun at times, but the jokes all fall flat, and it tries too hard to be funny. Short read, which is a plus, as I was mostly bored until the action scenes, which were drawn very well. For me, it's a 6. So Shane gave it a 6. There we go. Which seems very on par to the rest of us.
It's funny because Shane slates the book and scores it on par with us, where I think we've had quite a positive conversation about it.
Yeah.
I feel like in this case, Shane might have gone, okay, before I start reading, I have a 10 in my head, and it will come down based on what I've read. So he's using the negative points to bring his points down, but I think we're using good points to bring it up from 0. Maybe, who knows?
But then you always know with Shane's scoring too. Like if he hates the book, he'll let you know. So he doesn't hate this book.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So for me then, very unexpected read. That's how I want to start this. This is not the kind of thing. This was not, in hindsight, this is not what I picked this book up for. The content that's in there. I was surprised, quite grotesquely but pleasantly, in a very strange way, and I don't understand why. Like I've read books with other, disgusting type of visuals in it, and I've gone, oh, that's too much. I don't want to look at that. That's gross. But then looking at this, I'm like, this is fine. This is weird, but I'll look at it. Yeah, it was interesting. It's a shame we didn't get more information about Orphan. Hopefully we will in the future if more books come out. But yeah, the art is definitely the selling point. And I don't know if James Stokoe has written stuff before. I don't know if this is his first project or anything. But if it was his first project, then I think it was a really good start. It's a really cool, unique book to have under your belt. And it kind of will bring you out from the crowd. So yeah, it's definitely something to look at. It's 4 issues. It's super quick, and it's just a bit of fun, a bit of intrigue, and a bit of a laugh. And for that, I'm matching Martin, and I'm going to also give it a 6.5 as well. There we go. So we got a 6 from Phil, a 6 from Shane, a 6.5 from me and Martin. In the chat, we had a score from Highland G. He says, overall, it was middle of the road. So 5 out of 10. Can't complain. Thank you very much. And Liam, well, first of all, Pete also said, this sounds interesting to me. I'll pick it up. I'm really glad we've been able to do that, being able to talk about something and convince someone to grab it.
Go, Pete.
Go, Pete, go. And Liam has said, from the motion to the colors, this was one of those books where the writing/dialogue took a backseat to the art. Story is promising. Shame it's on hiatus. Hope it makes a return. 6 out of 10. So again, it's one of those, like, wasn't the best book in the world, but I hope it comes back. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting that it's a weird phenomenon. So we have our scores. With Highland G's and Liam's score together, we get a 5.5. We have a middle of the road of their score. Combining that with Shane's 6, Phil's 6, my 6.5, Martin's 6.5, we get a combined total of 6.1.
That's fair.
Yes, I also think that's fair. I'm really happy with that. So let's see. We'll show you the top 10. It doesn't land on the top 10. We still need an 8 or more to beat or to get onto the top 10 now at this point. So where does a 6.1 come on the rest of the leaderboard? It comes joint 19th with Invincible. Invincible Volume 1.
Wow.
Both 4-issue books.
Mhm.
That was also a 4-issue book that we read.
Incomplete stories, incomplete arcs, essentially.
Yeah, totally different things as well. But there we go. 6.1.
Nice.
Before we go, we should tell you that we don't have any Kev's draw-alongs coming up this week. He's a very busy artiste, as a very popular artiste as well. But we do want to let you know that he is, he's come away from drawing characters and how to draw them. He's now helping us with how to draw different styles and different techniques and things like that. So last week he did how to draw gestures, and he's explained it as simply as he can because he thinks it's quite a complicated topic to go through. So he's done that really well. So if that does interest you, go over and have a look. But I don't have anything else to talk about. If you guys don't, and we'll go and show off what we got next week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
Oh
we
yeah,
go.
next week's video. All right, here we go. Shane, what we got coming up? Oh, he's not here. Wait, never mind. It's Shane's pick next week. He has gone for Batwoman Elegy from DC in 2009. The paneling in those little previews there look really cool.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
The artistic style is really cool on this because obviously this is pre-New 52 Batwoman. We're going right before that, and then this artist then takes over the series going into New 52. So this is some early Batwoman.
It's Greg Rucka too, isn't it?
Greg Rucka. It's great, perfect starting point, and Shane's picked a banger for this one. So I'm really hyped for this next week.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully we'll see everyone there next week, and only one more thing left to do. Just get your waves out.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.